Okay, VW bus guy here. Just putting a video out. I'm stuck inside tonight, so just thought I'd show you what I'm up to. I'm just going over my paperwork here, and these are some of the drawings I pulled off the net. They're pretty cool. This is like a vintage one, but it's good in the way that it gives you a lot of actual measurements. And mainly what I wanted to show tonight was these are the actual photos of the vehicle that I've got that I'm restoring, or Rustoration I call it. So it's a Rustoration pressed bumper 1955 VW panelvan. So this is the photos of it in situ as it sat against the barn. So you can just see the roofing iron leaning up against it, so basically running all the way down the center of the vehicle, and there's the wall of the barn beside it. And you can see down here how much actual leaf build-up there was beside it, and all these plants were growing in and out as well. Something to note, just up here is these strange vents that I can't seem to work out. They're very small in the photo, but I have posted a video about it. But that's where they sat on the vehicle, you know, as it was, and you know, she's pretty rough. And that's how it sat, and that's how I first saw it. The doors weren't in, the dog legs were there, but they were all rusted out. The whole frame plate that runs all the way back to the rear horn or transmission support was totally gone, all the way forward, right up until where the main axle goes through, and then underneath the seat here the frame kicks up and then it comes back down. So that's the only part that was left, and then of course the only welding that was holding the vehicle together was along this section here. There's a few spot welds, and then obviously on the other side. I went to this vehicle only knowing that only seeing a couple of photos from the internet from it. So what I did is I took a heap of steel and I was going to weld up this front section, because that's all I thought was the issue, was these weak points here had given way. Little did I know that you know, the roof looked fairly good from this photo. You see this little bit here, and I thought, oh well, that's just a layer of where the water came down. And this is a highly acidic tree, this one here. It's a mango tree, so all the leaves have acid in them. And so I just took some steel and I was going to weld it up and, you know, brace the front, because that's what I thought was wrong with it. But little did I know that basically nothing was holding the front end on. The front end was totally detached from the vehicle. So there was nothing, there was no floor from where this front seat is. So the seat box goes down to the floor plate at the front. That wasn't there at all. So none of the frame forward was there. So I had to basically just, well, I walked up to it and grabbed this, and the whole thing shook like real bad. It just basically fell apart. So I had to walk away from that. And I was quite devastated. You can see how bad it was under here. There's just absolutely nothing left. But I was very, very excited about getting this vehicle in the first place, but I just couldn't get it to happen that day. And you know, a fair few people went there and tried to actually extract this vehicle from where it sat, and failed. So you can see it's all, basically every seam that has 2 or 3 layers of steel is just rusted away. So the acid has come down, and basically the whole roof was rusted all the way around, just where the water sat inside the gutter. So the first person to come along grabbed a 4-wheel drive, and from what I know, basically chained it up and thought they were just going to drag it out from where it was. There was all wood piled up here, and they cleared all this away. It took them hours. And they went to drag it, and the whole front end just fell off. Like literally just fell off. So they gave up then and there, and then apparently someone else came along and tried to do the same thing, and they got further into the bones of the vehicle and grabbed where they could, I don't know where, and then they actually got to drag it out, and it's slightly downhill this way, and they dragged it out away from the shed, and then they gave up. And then the next person to come along, they basically just went at it with a grinder, cut everything apart. So they cut the roof in half. This is probably a better one to come back to here. So it's just amazing. This sat there for so long. So this sat for over 50 years in this spot. It didn't move. This is what I was told. It sat there. This tree grew up around it, apparently. So yeah, so what they did is they cut along here, and they cut along the bottom of this, and that basically just pancaked the vehicle apart. They cut the roof off, and I think there was a little bit of structure on the inside that was cut away, and unfortunately that was lost in transit somehow. It's just gone. So, and these vents were what originally attracted me to the vehicle in the first place. There's the 3 up the top, and then obviously the ones down the bottom, but that's what led me to know that this was an older vehicle. Plus there was no indicators here, and it had the semaphores in place, so that's what drew me to it. And I'm glad I grabbed it. So what happened was the person that cut it up put it for sale, and 2 weeks later, basically from when they got it, they just decided that there was way too much work for it. Their partner told them to get rid of it, and this is what I've been told. And then, so basically they just tried to sell it, and they sold a few things. They sold what was left of the dog legs, which is a shame because I'm having difficulty working out a lot of the geometry now because I don't have these. So that would make my life a lot easier. And I don't want to spend close to $2,000 Australian for new ones. So I'm just going to bide my time and hopefully get some plans somewhere, or someone will maybe video something for me, but I'll work it out. I'm sure there's somewhere on the internet. And they cut the fuel tank out. They sold the fuel tank. They sold the engine hatch, the small one at the bottom. And what else did they sell? There was some wheels, I believe. They were gone. But the rest of the vehicle was deemed too rusty to warrant having any value. So it was just all in a big pile basically, and scattered across someone's backyard, and this was up against the fence as a bit of an art piece. And then the roof was, oh that's right, the roof was sold off, which was quite depressing really. But I managed to get that back through perseverance, so I'm quite chuffed about that. That's really the deal breaker for me, is this roof. So I'm glad it's together, and I think, you know, for people that like this restoration work, bringing old Volkswagens back to life, because that's basically what this is all about. It's a challenge, quite a hard challenge for someone like myself, and I think one of these windows may have been sold, and I've broken one in the process of reattaching the roof here. So I'm down two there, this one's gone, and there's a fair few others gone. So a lot of work. If you were to try and bring this back to life as a like a show quality vehicle here in Australia, that'd cost you, I don't know, probably $100,000, and I just don't know what it would be worth after that. So for me, that's not really what I want to do. This is a restoration, and basically I'm going to follow in the footsteps of others that have done the similar things, notably Musty One. He's had an old Volkswagen bus single cab that he did a restoration on, which I followed quite keenly at the time, and that's actually what got me into Volkswagens. I think I first got onto his channel through sanding. He was sanding a large panel that had some heat distortion in it, and I think he was doing some sort of heat shrinking. I'm not too sure, because I was working on an older vehicle as well and learning how to stop heat distortion, and that's sort of what got me onto his channel. But I've keenly followed him ever since, and rightly so. He's very good at what he does. So anyway, in the esque of his vehicle, that's what this one's going to be. I'm not trying to copy him at all. I'm doing this for the challenge to myself, and you know, this bus will be this bus. It won't try to be his bus or anyone else's bus. This is going to be my bus, and its name is Ben, so that's what it'll be. And I think I've got another photo here somewhere, but it's just an amazing story really, if you think about it. You know, you hear of buses that have been sitting for a while, but this was out in the elements. Like, this is like totally, the ocean is only like probably 50 or 100 meters away from this. So, and there's a closer view of the side of it. Not much more detail, but you can see the fuel cap and some other things. And basically you can see how high the leaves are piled up. Like, this is the belly of the vehicle here, and this was up on what you may call in America cinder blocks. So they're nearly a foot high, and it was sitting up on them all the way around. So this is probably 2 feet of leaves up in the air, half a meter, and they were just been decomposing with a lot of moisture for a long time. But yeah, I'm very excited about this vehicle, and you can actually see the lichen that's here, and it was there before I got it. So it's going to continue its life. I'm thinking of building a little humidity dome to go around it out of glass, and then just maybe attaching it somehow. But yeah, this is what I go off a lot of. This picture here, it gives me a lot of angles, if nothing else. So that's what I use, and they're quite nice pictures too. And it gives you, I've only just noticed this now actually, I was trying to rebuild that section up there, and looks like I've pretty much got it on the money. I didn't know this was even on here. I've just looked at it as I've got the camera set up, so that's pretty cool. And I've rebuilt, you know, these doors on the inside and the outside as well, and just been working my way through the vehicle now. And so I started with only, there's two of this section here of the frame, one on the left hand side and one on the right hand side. This was cut with an angle grinder to free up the back section, the back corner from the frame, so when they put it in the trailer to move it, that's what they did. So I've reattached that and I've built the frame from here. So this is the frame plate, all of this section here. So I built it from there all the way forward. Most of this section here had to be patched, and then forward as well. So on both sides, and the other one on the other side is been rebuilt. All of the top hat sections and I-beams, I've used galvanized box steel, and I don't like the design of those. I believe that the inherent fault in that product is the fact that it's two pieces of steel sandwiched together, and what happens with two pieces of steel in a high humidity environment is that it just rusts. So what I've done is I've basically used a box, and I've followed that all the way through. I know it's not exactly right for Volkswagen, but the frame that I build will be here for probably 100 years. It won't go away. It's all going to be filled with bitumen on the inside, and then I'm also going to be making stainless steel skid plates that will go underneath the vehicle as well, so there'll be no moisture getting in there, and everything will be sealed up. Well, once it gets on the road, none of this is in here, so I've got one side of one wheel well on the inside, and I've got these. They're rusted away, but I will remake them. No flooring whatsoever, no floor in the front, and yeah, just plugging away at it. So right now I'm having to deal with the front end, marrying the front end onto the floor that I've built, and all of the valances on the inside, which is quite a large task. Yeah, it's a lot of work, but definitely worth it in the end, I think. It'll be something to be admired anyway. And yeah, there she blows. Alright, don't forget to leave me a comment, because that's what really drives these videos, is people leaving comments, and give me some of your experiences with these old buses. Maybe you've got some stories to tell. Okay, maybe tell me how you got your buses. Everyone's got a story out there, so alright, see you next time.